Hi everybody, it's Leadership Bootcamp, the Fort McMurray community track. And all of you that are enjoying Bill Cosby right now, I have one thing to say. No, I'm good. That's why we have the program the way we have it. That you can go and enjoy guys like Bill Cosby. Over the Hill has been. Anyways, Bill Cosby. No, actually, what's interesting, guys, his best friend, Luther Mack, was one of my mentors. Yeah, Luther Mack. If you walked up to Bill Cosby right now and said, Luther Mack, he'd go, Luther Mack, that's my best friend. And so I hope you're enjoying Bill Cosby, and this is Catalyst for Responsibility, the third competency. All right, but before we go into that, let's talk about the last 3 weeks. So we covered a lot of things the last 3 weeks. So somebody tell me something you're taking from the last 3 weeks. We talked about a lot of systems, right? Systems. And we also posted a bunch of videos beyond what we talked about in our face-to-face session. So systems. So somebody tell me something you took away, and then we'll talk about time in a minute. So somebody tell me something about systems.
I started applying.
He can't open the door. Did you lock the door? Not only, yeah, we're sending people to Cosby now. We're discouraging participation. Come on in. And you got to sit and feel the love. Come on up here. Everyone went to Cosby tonight, so you're to be commended for not going to Cosby. Join this group or that group. Okay, go ahead. Who was talking? Yes, sir.
I started really thinking about your idea of systems as versus plans, because I always thought of it in realms of creating a plan. So I started thinking about it in realms of creating a system, and starting with the end goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've tried to relay that onto my leaders within the branch to say, let's start thinking where we want to be as opposed to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Start with that objective, and for me, it's brought more clarity. So when I'm doing my coaching sessions, I'm really thinking about starting with that objective.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's helped me become a better coach.
That's very good. For all of you that are on the business side and you coach people, I'm going to post a series of information around. Come on up. We're intimate due to Cosby. Don't even get me started. I'm going to post under systems. I'm going to post a whole strategy on a system for performance management. Okay, so I'll post for those of you that are inclined and you manage people, I'll post a whole little 4 emails or 4 pieces of information on coaching people. Hey, Lana, we are depleted. You might want to talk, but we're depleted because of Cosby.
Oh, is that tonight?
Yes. Does everybody know Lana?
Hi.
This is Lana.
I'll talk for 2 minutes and I'll come back again another time.
Okay, so really quickly, let me give, because we're talking about something, but we'll give, to provide context really quick. This is Lana Sweeney. She was a participant in Boot Camp 1, and she is one of her and Ross, and everybody has met Ross, but Lana is a part of the team that's going to Ghana. So as many of you might know, that from Boot Camp 1 came a project in Ghana. So 25 to 30 people from Fort McMurray are going to Ghana August 11th through the 27th to build a playground, a number of playgrounds and schoolrooms at the Anawase School in the Volta region of Ghana. Just a quick thumbnail. When I was first here in January of last year, a lady approached me named Cynthia Akru. She said, will you help the children of Ghana? I said, well, that's kind of funny because Ghana's not really on my radar screen. I don't know where it is on the map. And she said, well, that's wonderful, you ignorant man, but here, let me tell you about these kids and the help that they need, and we know that you and your wife support kids around the world. Will you support the children of Ghana? And I said, well, unfortunately, we've kind of got all of our resources allocated. We're trying to do 250 projects across Canada this year. I just don't know if we can help. Literally hours later, I was driving down Franklin Avenue. There's a playground that was being demolished that was in the old housing complex there where the senior center will go. I made mention, where's that playground going? In the garbage. And I made mention that maybe we should take it to Ghana. Just weeks after that, I got a phone call from Councilman Kirshner. I don't know if any of you know Councilman Kirshner. Councilman Kirshner, who is terminally ill. And not terminally ill like he won't be with us 10 years from now. Terminally ill like he won't be with us in the near future. Councilman Kirshner called me and said, Ian, I'm ready to ship this playground. I'm ready to take out and ship this playground that you're taking to Ghana, wherever you would like in Canada. Where do you want me to ship it, and I'll pay for it? I said, well, first of all, I didn't know I was going to Ghana. I just made mention of it. And second of all, what a generous offer. I guess we are going to Ghana. So the next thing you know, we pull the playground out of the ground through the hard work and effort of some RMWB employees. We ship it through the generosity of Mr. Kirshner, Councilman Kirshner, to Paris, Ontario, where Paris Recreational Products has refurbished the playground. In Leadership Bootcamp 1, I stood up at the end of November, I think, or October, and I said basically to the 500 participants, who wants to go to Ghana? And 55 people stepped forward and said either I want to go or I want to support the going. And now it's a team of about 23 to 25 with about 5 spots left. And they are going to build 2 playgrounds now, or multiple playgrounds. They're going to build a classroom because the middle school kids don't have a classroom. They just basically have a shade area. So if it rains, there's no school. They're going to do outreach because we have a dentist, a doctor who is going, a dentist who is going. They're going to be looking at all of the teeth and the dental of not only the kids of the school, but of the community. They've garnered and accessed and pulled together about $80,000 so far of resources, intangible assets and shipping costs and all of those things. We've got kids at schools. Conklin Community School gave us a check for $1,079 today. So kids that we would say are economically disadvantaged saw pictures of kids walking with water on their head and said, what the hell's that? So here are the kids looking at a picture saying, that's not right. We got to do something about that. Raise $1,000. Lana and I were on the phone today with Fort Hope Elementary School, or Fort Hope Community School in Fort Hope, Ontario, which is a fly-in community, heavily challenged fly-in community. They've raised $1,100 on their way to $1,500. That money will be used. Each community is sponsoring a wall. So here's kids in challenged communities saying, we're in for a wall, we're in for a wall, we're in for a wall. Fort Chip, same thing, we're in for a wall. So that's what's happening. Time frame. From the time I stood in this room and said, we're going to Ghana, till actually going to Ghana, 10 months. This team. And so Ross and Lana are kind of heading up the circus. They're the circus masters. They're the ring masters. And Lana was going to drop by to tell you about something very quickly, something that's coming up that you could participate in. Go.
Okay. Well, now that Ian has stolen all my
Sorry.
all my things that I was going to say.
Tim.
Yeah. I'm hoping she can you go up here and get the mic?
Yeah, oh, I'll just let her hold
You're
it.
just steal all his thunder back now. It's okay.
Because that way we'll get you on for the people that are watching the archive.
Hi, so he's introduced, I'm Lana. I work for the regional municipality, and yes, it was like, put up your hand if you're interested in going to Ghana, and I did, and never thought that I'd be like here, doing all this, but that's what happens when you put your hand up. So be careful in this class. Don't put your hand up unless you're prepared to do something. So Ross is going to hand out just our little, we have a packet of about probably 50 pages that we put together for the people who are going with us. And in that packet there's like everything from, what we're going to eat to what we're going to wear to where we should stay and all those kind of things. But I just pulled some pages, so that's why they're not in order. Pulled some pages just for you to look at. And he's told you all about what we're doing, so I won't take any more of your time. But what I will ask you is we're having multiple fundraisers, so you'll see me again before your class is over. But the one that's coming up is May 24th, and it's marigolds and martinis at Wood Buffalo Brew Company, if you all know where Wood Buffalo Brew Company is. They've graciously sponsored, going to help us sponsor the event, and it's kind of ladies because marigolds and martinis, but guys, I want you to know that you can buy tickets to give to your ladies, or you can come with them. So it's not a ladies only event. And what it is, the ticket will get you, half the ticket gets you a martini, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic. We have both. And then the other half gets you a 12-pack of marigolds for your garden or to give away or for a gift or whatever. So I encourage you to come and join us, and we'll have some people there. Cynthia is coming, who actually approached Ian, and she can tell you all about Ghana itself. because that's where her brother's actually there helping us, doing a number of things. So you can ask her questions. And then she's bringing some little pieces of jewelry from Ghana. And so we always have a great event, and you get to know more about it. And like Ian said, if you want to come, there's still a few spaces left. We just need a small deposit for now, and if you want to get actively involved in all the fundraising, then please do so. The total trip is about $5,000. I'll say $5,000 to be over the top, $5,000 per person. So it's a lot to get us there to build these playgrounds. So that's our goal, to raise money so it doesn't cost everybody $5,000 to go. So that's one of our biggest things. We want more people to go, and the people who are going to be able to afford it and have a great time. So I'm going to leave a few tickets with Ross, so I won't take up your time. So if you want to buy a ticket, Ross, is that okay with you? Okay, and you can see Ross, or if you want more information, I think, is my phone number on here? No, but feel free to ask Ross for my phone number, and I'd be glad to give you any more info. But I will be back because we have another huge event on June 7th that I want to tote before this class is over. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Any questions for Lana about the project or anything like that? Anybody have any questions for her? Okay.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
And on a side note, Ross, Lana, the others that are involved, everybody's volunteering their time. All the organizations that are participating, Let Them Be Kids, of course, all volunteers. Compassion International, if any of you have ever heard of Compassion International, that's who's helping us in Ghana. Kids around the world are helping us in Ghana. So we have some major international NGOs that are helping us pull this off. So it's funny how you want to talk about how does the world get changed? Councilman Kirshner, the guys who pulled the playground out of the ground, the people in Paris, Ontario willing to refurbish the playground, kids around the world, Lana, Ross, others. Everybody just doing a little bit. Everybody just doing a little bit. Nobody asking anything in return. Everybody just doing a little bit. And what would typically take years to pull off, we're doing in months. And I think probably both Lana and Ross would tell you, I don't want to speak for them, but I think even they are surprised with the speed to which this is all coming together, right? I mean,
Absolutely. We actually anticipated August 2014
yeah.
in our minds, but everybody just jumped in, and it was cool.
Yeah, it's come together very, very well. And you know what's funny? The residual impact, right? Kids, Ross and I, when we went to Conklin to get the check today, those kids are world changers. Come on in, come and sit, because we're all intimate tonight, so come and sit at one of these closer areas. So, they're world changers. And so sometimes doing a project is more about the opportunity for other people to make the world a better place. It's not about us. Those kids in Conklin, correct me if I'm wrong, Ross, those kids are empowered to make the world a better place. They're going to be able to say that at the age of 12 or 13 or 14, they raised money and built a school halfway around the world. That's huge. You talk to the kids in Fort Hope today. They're halfway around the world. So for me, my involvement in this Ghana project is just one of just being a catalyst. Cast the vision, give a little bit of support, and then try to get out of people's way. These are the people that are making it happen. They're just like you, they work next to you, they drive down Franklin Avenue like you, and yet they're going to fundamentally change a village halfway around the world. And on a whole nother note, when we talk about marketing this region, we talk about branding this region, we talk about changing people's perception of this region, the way to do it is go make the world a better place. Go enhance people's lives. Go and change their existence and ask nothing in return, and you won't need a marketing strategy. Because people will say, where are they from? They're from Fort McMurray. Or where are they from? They're from Canada. That's huge. And then they tell people who tell people who tell people. Well, what did they charge you? What did they want from you? Nothing. They just came and made our village a better place, and they support us. So if you want to be a world changer, you want to get involved, maybe all you do to get involved is just support, help with the fundraiser. Maybe you don't go. Maybe you can't go. Your job, your family, your life. But there's all kinds of ways that you can contribute. And so will you give these two a big round of applause for... All right. So thank you. Ross will have tickets. There'll be other fundraisers you can get involved. Is the website on there?
Yep.
Okay, so if you want to learn more, you can go to the website. It'll be updated regularly, and you can get the Facebook and all that. Okay, so systems. You were talking about systems and how those systems bring clarity in coaching and the like. So if you need a system to be a better coach with employees, go to the website next week. That system will be up there. I just didn't post it because there's a ton up there, right? But there'll be a system for coaching employees, poor performers. So anybody else, something that you gained in the last 3 weeks? And then I want to talk about time, but somebody else. What did you gain in the last 3 weeks as we talked about systems? Excellent. Well done, guys. That's awesome. Come on, something that you took away, something that you gained.
I think focusing on the outcome helps you get unstuck.
Absolutely. Why are we going to Ghana, right? So the first thing they had to do, I forced them to do, was give us your desired outcomes. Why are we going to Ghana? Well, because it feels good. Well, that's not good enough. I wouldn't give money to something that just feels good. I'm not paying for somebody's vacation to Ghana. So why are we going to Ghana? What's the point? Why? This, and this. Now all of a sudden, as you just said, there's clarity. It's easier. Always remember this. When I know what the why is, the how is easy. Hows always follow whys. So as an outcome-based thinker, the first system I'm going to put into place is always clarify the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I involved? What do I hope to gain? What do I hope to achieve? And then hows flow in very, very simply. Very, very simply. Okay, somebody else. Something you took from the last 3 weeks. Come on. Time. Okay, so that's a good segue. Let's talk about it. Who is currently tracking their time? Anybody doing the time tracking exercise? The time matrix? Everyone looks at the floor. No one make eye contact with Ian.
Well, I'm not doing the matrix as per se. We have had at work, we had a worksheet that we used previously, and I've just adopted that.
Sure.
I'm already familiar with it.
Okay.
But it's really like we were talking before, like I just felt like I didn't have time this last 3 weeks. I've been busy doing things. And so to do that now, while I am busy, to see how my time is going, even just yesterday, it opened my eyes. Like I came home and all of a sudden 3 hours were gone. So I sat down and thought, what did I just do for the last 3 hours? And where did it get me? I didn't feel like I accomplished anything, but it's 3 hours later. So I think it's going to be an eye-opener when it comes to that stuff.
So on Friday, I'm going to send you an email that's going to explain what you may have learned from tracking your time. And then the next exercise, if you choose to participate, is sitting down and proactively now organizing your time for the next week. So a week worth of information, a week worth of tracking, and now let's do it for real. So you sit down on Sunday night, Monday morning, early Monday morning, and you're going to time block out your week. And that exercise is going to be linked to your long-term goals. Hopefully when you do it, you're going to have a list of the high leverage activities, right? Here are my high return on investment activities. And that's the first thing you're going to block into your schedule for the week. The first thing you're going to block into your schedule for the week are these high return on investment activities in whatever role you play in your life. So as dad, like here's an example. As dad, I've got an appointment on Saturday at 3 o'clock with my daughter to visit a seamstress because my daughter wants to have a line of clothing at 9 years old, 10 years old. So my 10-year-old wants to have a line of clothing. She's going to meet with the seamstress, show her what she's come up with. The seamstress is going to make it. They're going to sell it, and she's going to donate everything to the Ghana Project. That's a high return on investment activity for me. That's better than that memory that we'll build together at 3 o'clock on Saturday is a memory that will last a lifetime. But how many of you know that if I don't put it in the calendar, if I don't mark it out, it'll be that good intention, that constant good intention of, I got to get my daughter to that seamstress. I got to make that appointment. And then it'll be months. And I will have said to her at the supper table, we're going to go see the seamstress. And then, as we have all had experience when we were kids, they don't forget that. And then a year later, they're like, how come we never saw the seamstress? How many of you remember when you were a kid, your parents said something that they had all the best of intentions, but it never happened? I'm not saying anybody's a bad person. I'm just saying, start the week, high return on investment activities in your workplace, in your personal life, whatever it is. And then you're going to block in those activities that you know have to happen. The meeting that you know has to happen. The meeting that you know has to happen. The meeting, whatever. Then you're going to block in the things you can assume. How many of you have to answer email every day? You can be urgency addicted and answer emails throughout the day and then get to the end of your day and you'll be like, what the hell happened to my day? Because I'm urgency addicted. Bing! I think I have to respond. Bing! I think I have to respond. Bing! Phone rings. How many of you automatically pick up the phone when it rings? For me, I don't automatically pick up that phone. Because what I'm doing at the moment might be more important than that phone call. Send it to voicemail, man. And you know why a lot of times I send it to voicemail? So that when I do talk to them, I've heard the voicemail, tells me what they want, who they are, whatever. I can be prepared. I can have the information. That phone call that might have taken me 45 minutes now takes me 20 or 15 because I'm ready for the phone call. But we're so urgency addicted. Now, some of you are in businesses, some of you in roles that you have to take that phone call. I get it. I'm just trying to get you to think about that urgency addiction that occurs. So for me, emails happen in the morning, midday, in the late afternoon. That's it. Do I scan my iPhone? I do for something that would be a crisis, but I'm not responding to everyone because I wouldn't have any time in my day, ever. So I block in those things that I can assume. And then, if you remember, I mentioned to you the feng shui of time. What's feng shui, right? It's this idea of flow of energy. If any of you are bosses in the room and you try to have meetings in the morning when work first starts, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., you're a fool. Why is that, Ian? Because if you're the boss, everybody wants your attention at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And you're always going to be going against the flow. So I found that as the boss, everybody wants to talk to me. So when I walk in on a Monday morning at 8 a.m., my natural inclination is to have a big meeting. Let's all set up for the week. But they all want to talk to me about stuff. They got a problem. They got an issue. This thing happened. That thing happened. So I always found myself doing this. Okay, guys, I know we have the meeting at 8 a.m., but I got this fire I got to put out, so just give me a minute. I'll be back in a little bit. So they feel disappointed. Or, I can't put out your fire right now. I've got a meeting. Has anybody ever experienced what I'm talking about? And that's because we haven't pulled up over our life and looked at the natural flow of life. So I call that the assumptive. I can assume certain things are going to happen. I can assume, we'll try to make it a diamond, certain things are going to happen. I can assume that on Fridays at 2, my boss always calls me and wants to know how the week went. It's not an appointment, but God, I can almost predict that they're going to call. So you put those assumptions in. Yeah, but Ian, what happens when you really don't have any fires to put out? What did I just pick up? I just picked up an hour of time instead of losing an hour of time. So this Sunday or early Monday morning, I'd like you to do this. Now, what do you know about these high return on investment activities? What are they totally aligned with? They're totally aligned with where you're headed in each one of the roles of your life. Totally aligned. And as long as every week I do something that moves me closer to my goal in the various roles that I play in my life, am I good to go? I'm good to go. And am I good to go in my own self-esteem? Because how many of us on a regular basis beat the crap out of ourselves because we feel guilty that we didn't get something done? So those of you that are to-do list strategists, you work off of a to-do list, how many of you have ended your day, beat yourself up because you didn't get to your to-do list? Has anybody ever done that? So because this is a marathon, I need to do everything I can to keep myself motivated, keep myself moving forward. I can't afford to beat myself up because I failed. So I want to set myself up for success. That's why for me, the to-do list is 7 days long. This is what I need to get done this week. Well, when do I do that, Ian? In the white space. Remember I talked about in that video, leave white space for yourself. What's the white space for? To do those things you know you need to get done this week. Yeah, but what about deadlines? What about deadlines? How do you fit those in? If I know I have a deadline 3 weeks from now, then I'm planning an hour to work on that deadline. I'm making an appointment with who? Who remembers the way I said it? Making an appointment with who? Myself. I'm making an appointment with myself, booking it, time blocking it in the calendar to work on that deadline. Yeah, but what happens when this thing pops up and my boss says, drop everything and do this? I say back to my boss, no problems. Let me pull out my calendar that I have well laid out. Which one of these priorities should I move to the back and move this thing that you want me to work on to the front? Now, I don't think that's inappropriate. I think that makes your boss go like this. Wow, you are really, really organized. Let me find someone who's not. Right? So, now, I'm being funny. I hope, I actually pray that you'll give this a shot. I just think in today's day and age, you can't possibly hope to be a great parent if you can't maximize the utilization of your time. I don't believe you can be a great spouse if you can't maximize the utilization of your time. I don't know if you can be a great employee. Something's going to give, right? There's only 100 to 110 hours in the week. Something's going to give. There's no possible way that you on the fly, on the pulling out of your butt, you can get all these roles done. But how many people do you know that on a weekly basis are just kind of pulling life out of their butt and doing as they can try to do it, and then they'll just try to squeeze it all in? Let me just try to squeeze it all in. Is that fair to my kids? Is that fair to my spouse? Is that fair to me? Is that fair to my employees? Hell no. I can't believe that it's fair. But having been a recovering addict of this, right, recovering from an urgency addiction, I know it's hard to break. So the only way to do it is do it with a system. A system, a system. For those of you that are leaders in the room, that lead organizations, I would strongly encourage you to think in terms of teaching this to your people. Operational efficiency. Where does operational efficiency come from? Operational efficiency comes when all of my people are more efficient. Do they teach this in school? No. They don't teach it in school. And that's a problem. Because time is the only perishable commodity, the most important perishable commodity that you have at your disposal. And because it is a perishable commodity, there must be an urgency in the way that we teach people how to utilize it best. What if you could just pick up 4 hours a week? 4 hours a week. 16 hours a month. How would that help you? If you could pick up 16 hours a month, would that help you? So that's what, if I was you, that's what my goal would be. My goal would be, okay, Ian, I'm up for the challenge. Let me see if I can find 4 hours a week. And what's 4 hours a week? How many minutes a day? How many minutes a day? It's about 20 minutes, right? How many minutes is 4 hours a week? What is it?
You're asking a day. I was thinking in that.
Yeah, how many hours, how many minutes is it in a day? 2 hours. So 4 hours in a week, how many minutes in a day? It's about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes, a little bit more. A little bit more. So the question to you is, all you're talking about is picking up efficiently 20 minutes, 20 minutes. But you already said it. You figured out 3 hours in one day that you wondered where the hell it went. So I'm telling you, man, if you're stressed, if you're overwhelmed, if you're all those things, if you can't seem to get to it all I'm asking you to do is thoughtfully consider the strategy or the system, but at minimum, track your time so you can see where it's going. The first thing when someone looks at me and says, I don't know where my time is going, or I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. The first thing I say is, let's track it. Let's find out where it's going. Let's find out if you really have enough time or not. So it's not usually that you don't have enough time. It's usually that they aren't in alignment. Your activities are not in alignment. If any of you know somebody who takes 60 hours to do a 40-hour week job? Anybody know somebody like that? I work so much. Well, how many hours should it take to do this job? I don't know, but it takes me 60. Well, probably take you 45. If you had yourself organized at the beginning of every week. And then what do you do each day? Then you review your day at the beginning of the day, outcome-based. What am I going to do today? Do I need to adjust my plan? And we move from strategic to tactical. And then when we get to the end of our week, what do? We reflect. How did my week go? Where did it go? Are there anything I need to extend to the next week? And then we project. So we reflect. How did it go? And then we project. There was a great discus thrower. His name was Al Order. He came from the States, Al Order. You probably don't know who he is. He won the Olympic gold medal 4 times in a row, 16 years. How many say that's pretty impressive? The first time he did it, they said he was too young. The last time he did it, they said he was too old. And the 2 times in between, he was hurt. Here's what Al Order did. Al Order would take a calendar, and he would map it out 4 years. 4 years. And he would put the Olympic finals of the discus right there. And then he would just say, day 1, day 2, day 3. And every day he would do something that would move him closer to that 4 years, that 4-year goal. So his goal was that every day he did something that would move him closer to his dream. And so he aligned his activities with that long-term goal. And there wasn't a day that was wasted. Now it doesn't seem so remarkable that he did it. Won it 4 times in a row. Now you can see he had a definite strategy. He had a system. So, last thought. So is your kid's life worth that? Have you outcome-based the development of your kid? Have you listed the attributes you want your kid to have at the age of 18? And then on a weekly basis, are you doing something to develop that attribute? Develop that attribute. Develop that attribute. Develop that attribute. If you have, then your kid has a greater shot of being that thing that you want them to be, those attributes. If not, if you're just leaving it to chance, remember, systems either organically grow up or intentionally are developed for a specific purpose. Then you're just leaving to chance that the organic systems of our society will develop your kid. Well, we talk about goals and we talk about character. That's different than on a weekly basis doing activities that will develop your child to that Al Order Olympic medal kind of a vision. Well, are you saying that every kid's got to be hyper? Are you, what's the book down in the States, Tiger Mom? I mean, are you like Tiger Mom? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying organically develop, let it be to chance, or specifically develop for an intentional purpose. All right, I'm long-winded on this because it is critical. And I also know this. Most of us will not go buy a book on time management. So when this opportunity to focus on time for a while goes away, you're probably not going to come back to it. How many of you would agree with that? You're not going to come back to it. Unless you go into crisis mode and somebody tells you that you better get your butt organized. But don't let it get to that. So use this opportunity now where you could ask questions and we could have an email back. Well, Ian, I tried it. I don't understand this. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. All right, any questions or comments on this piece? Yes.
I had one of my first bosses taught me that stop being a yes person. I was always the yes person. Sure, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. Then you do run out of time.
Right.
And so she taught me to do that. Okay, if you want me to do this for you, what are you going to help me with to get it off my plate, or what can I deprioritize? But I find the issue now, I can still do that, but because others don't see it that way, you're battling against their urgency.
Right.
Do you have a strategy to
Yeah,
say,
well, 2 things. One, if I have someone that I routinely interface with and I start to see their style, I start to build in their style. Like there's some people that we know, if I tell them the deadline is at 3 p.m., I'm going to get it at 4:15. So I start to build in that the deadline is at 1. That way I'll get it at 2:15 and I'll be ahead of the game. So that's that whole feng shui flow of what's around you. I've also started to think to myself, that I've always thought to myself that one of the most important tools is clarifying expectations. So if Joanne says to me, Ian, I need you to do blank, I'm immediately going to say, is Friday good for that? Immediately. Is Friday or whatever? Is next Monday good for that? Well, actually, no, Ian, I need that this day. Okay, close the business that day, no problems. I'm going to manage those expectations because I'm already overwhelmed. But I'm going to do that on the other side too. I'm going to make sure that I'm clear. Joanne, I need you to do blank. Okay, Ian, no problems. Joanne, can I make sure that I have that by Tuesday afternoon, close the business? And then if she pushes back, I'm going to push back to her. She says, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, you tell me when you can do that. When can I expect that from you? So I'm going to manage those expectations and gain clarity. But if I know the track record is they're probably going to overpromise and underdeliver, I'm going to build that in that expectation clarification. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does anybody do that right now? Where you leave absolute clarity. I'm not leaving the conversation without clarity on when I need that thing or when they need that thing. And then I just go back to my schedule and build that in. Okay, what happens if it obliterates a day? No problems. What am I trying to get in a 7-day period, not in a 1-day period? Yes?
So this is a problem that I'm having. You build relationships at work, and you're working in an environment where other people are working on something that you may have feedback on or you may know how it works. And they might approach you to help you on that item. And it may take half of your day away.
Right.
So at the same time, you know that individual and personal level where you build that friendship. And even though, the problem I'm having is when there's a favor almost become an expectation.
Right.
How to handle that?
Okay, 2 ways that I handle that. One, if their ongoing training or ongoing development now has become an obligation, a task that I want to take on. Let's say it's a task I want to take on. They're my friend, they might lose their job, I have knowledge, I will help them. I'm going to just build that into the schedule. And instead of them coming to me randomly, I'm going to manage that. So what's your name again, young lady?
Susan.
So Susie? Susan, right. Susan Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, see, I remember. It just takes me a second. So I'm going to go to Susan. Hey, I'm all about helping you, Susan, but I got to kind of control this because I got a lot of work to do. So let's do this. Wednesdays, Thursday, I got some time in the afternoon. All of your questions, unless they're urgent, let's handle them on Wednesday and Thursday from 1 to 2. And I'll just set aside from 1 to 2 for you, and I'm going to grow you through this. What message does that send?
That eventually they're going to be on their own, but you're teaching them how to do it, and you're putting aside time for them to learn it.
But the expectation is what you said out of the gate.
That they're going to know, and they're going to do it for themselves eventually.
Does that make sense? So what I would do is, Susan, I'm all about helping you. You know we're friends outside of work. I'm here for you. But I got a ton of work, man. And so I got to get myself up the hill. I can't be always carrying you up the hill. I got to get myself up the hill too. So let's do this. You look at some time in your schedule. I'll look at some time in my schedule. Those will be the times that we'll answer any of these questions that you have. Now you might be daily. I'll give you a half hour of my time a day. Just don't bother me any other time. And then I can be fully attended to you. Does that make sense? And now I've managed that process. I show that I care. I show that I'm a friend. I show that I'm here for you, but I've managed the expectation, and I've clearly sent the message that eventually you got to be on your own. Does that make sense? Okay.
The other thing we do at my work is my boss likes us to run it by her. So we are friends, and nobody takes offense to this, but I look at Roseanne, for example, today. I just said, Elisa needs me to help her with the measurements between buildings. Is it okay if I go do that? Will be about an hour. And then she said yes, so she knows for that hour that I was helping Elisa and I wasn't cleaning a concession stand.
Right.
So at the end of the day, Elisa knows that Roseanne is aware that she needed help, so she's not gonna keep coming back for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, because we have to do it all in that block, and it has to be done. And I don't have to explain where I was and why I'm behind.
That's good.
But Ian, sometimes if the person is not part of your immediate team,
Mhm.
then then it becomes because you have your own roles and responsibilities that you're accountable for, and you're trying to adjust this. So if it's a one-time favor, sure, but if you're trying to, because I've noticed it varies from person to person. Person can get the message that, okay, let's meet on Friday for half an hour, we'll discuss everything about this. Then person, that becomes an expectation rather than getting the message that.
But how would you manage that expectation?
So it's like, my idea is like trying to tell the other person that, look, it's I'm helping you out here right now. What I want you to understand is the whole process of how I'm trying to figure this out. So if I am trying to understand the system, you understand it with me.
Mhm.
So let's say after 3 sessions together, you're on the same page as I am.
So that's what my thing would be, like if I was going to take that approach, what I would say to the person is, I can allocate the next 4 Fridays for you. We're going to take a half hour, and by the end of this next 4 Fridays, you're going to be up to speed on this thing. And then you're going to be able to walk out on your own. Did anybody watch the delegation video in systems? Anybody watch the delegation video? Anybody? Watch the delegation video. So when you go into the learning portal, remember I told you I would put a bunch of systems up there. Click the delegation button. Watch the delegation video. It is really, really good information. And then print out the handout and start to look at that system of delegation. How do I delegate? So there's only 2 ways to get things done. You're going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then there's in between. And the in between is what usually gets us in trouble. So the whole system is based on proficiency. I only let you go do stuff on your own that you're highly proficient at, but I only make you come and ask me about things and things you're no good at. So I'm having more control while giving still more freedom. In between, I'll let you go do it, but tell me about it, either immediately or periodically. So everything that a person does when they work for me is listed, and they go into some level of authority. So if you had everything that a person does is listed, and their level of proficiency will dictate their level of authority to go do it. If they're highly proficient, then they're going to act on their own. If they have low proficiency, they're going to ask and recommend. So the 4 categories are ask and recommend, act and report immediately, act and report periodically, act on own. And I'm not going to go into it because the video's there. I'll just say this. By breaking up what he does into these 4 categories, I now just freed myself up. Why did I free myself up? How did I free myself up as the leader? They're not going to come to me for everything. What else? I'm developing them because they're going to ask and recommend. Even in the places, excuse my language, they suck, they're still going to ask and recommend. I'm going to grow them. So the number one thing that you do here is you defrag your life. Now I'm not in meetings I don't belong in, act on own. And I'm only in meetings that they need my input. I don't micromanage anymore, but I make sure that they don't stumble and fall. And I give them a short leash on the areas where they have limited proficiency, but I still have them go do it. It frees up my time. If you don't have a system for delegation, you're screwed today. Because again, there's not enough time, energy, or effort for you to get done everything you need to get done. So delegation combined with organizing your own time, you should be effective delegation combined with being able to organize your own time, maximize the utilization of your own time, should pick you up 5 hours a week. Because now I'm not sitting in the meeting I don't need to be in, and you know what? They don't want you in that meeting anyways. Why are you in this meeting? We know what to do. Leave us alone. Or, why are you never in the meetings? We need your help. We don't know what to do. I've now clarified that. It's a living, breathing document. I review it every 90 to 120 days. I can move these based on their performance. Hey, you've been doing a great job. You can start doing it on your own. Just let me know what's going on. Yeah. Hey, you haven't been doing such a great job. Let's move it back here so I can give you a little bit more coaching. Watch this video. No joke. It will help you, especially when combined with this. There's also that motivation video, and there's also the effective communication. Take some time to go. If those things would help you in your professional or personal life, go watch them. Remember, I told you there would be more information than you could possibly access. So if time is your thing, you really need that, then just focus on time. If you've tried to figure out some ways to do delegation, go watch that video. If motivation, go watch the motivation video. Communication is a problem, go pick out what works and then come back to it later, okay? Anything else on the last 3 weeks? You say, well, Ian, God, are we going to talk about the next 3 weeks? We will. We will. It's okay. No worries, guys. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, last thought, one thing. Some of you have still not turned in your one thing. The one thing that you're going to work on. Now, some of you have, and I've sent you a note. I've asked you about your one thing, or I've commented on your one thing, or I've asked you for some clarity on your one thing. How many of you gotten that note from me? Yes. How many of you responded to that note from me? A few of you have not. I won't make eye contact with that person. I'll look around that person. I'll just look around there. Hey, and you know what? Thank you for the soda. So you know what happened yesterday? So I'm waiting for Lana, and I go and I grab a soda out of the cabinet over here. And I wasn't really even thinking, and I saw Lana, so I just started walking out. I walked out with the soda.
You didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I just walked out because it's open. And the lady behind the thing was like, hey, where's that guy going with the soda? So she was standing there. She's like, I got him covered. Here you go. I thought she was going to arrest me. This lady was, so I go to pay for my soda, and the lady's like, oh, no, Joanne paid for your soda. I was like, why? Why did Joanne pay? Oh, that was really nice, like picking up your bar tab, that was pretty cool. And the lady said, oh, no, she not being nice, she thought you steal, and I no let her. No, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. So I owe you for a Coke. So anyway, isn't that cool? So the lady was like, you walk out, you no pay, and so Joanne take care of it for you. Otherwise, I call security on you, my friend. I was like, hey, man, give a chubby brown man a break, man. Come on. What you talking about? You can't walk out of here with a Coke? Because I really did. I just was like, la, 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 la. Anyways, acting like I own the place. So thank you for doing that. So if you haven't made your commitment, let me just say this. We're almost done. This thing's going to be over in we got this session, next session, done. We only got 6 weeks, and we're over with. So you still got time to make that commitment. And you're not going to have, well, I'm too busy right now. Well, there's not going to be another time where you're going to have this kind of support. That's not going to happen again, where you don't have to pay for support. You might have support another time, but you're going to have to fork up some cash. So you might as well take advantage of it. So if you haven't made your commitment, make your commitment. Remember, in our first session, I had you write down 3 names of people whose lives would be better if you made a commitment. Now here's the drill. If I don't have a commitment from you by the end of next week, I'm going to start sending out little notes, little nudges, asking you, where's the commitment? Not because I'm trying to be a taskmaster or be mean or anything like that. Just to, come on. Let's just pick something out. Let's get better at it. Okay, this week, the next 3 weeks, to introduce the new competency, we have to understand a couple of things in life and in our community. As community builders, people that know how to take a bunch of different people with a bunch of different backgrounds, with a bunch of different talents, experience, and interests, and marshal them towards a common goal, right? Today's leader. Somehow, we have to be catalysts for others to take responsibility. When Cynthia Accrue said to me at Earl's Restaurant in January of last year, will you help the children of Ghana? The first thing that went through my mind was, how the hell can I help the children of Ghana? I've got an autistic son that we can't figure out what to do with him and solve his issues and challenges. I got 2 other kids. I got a girl that just graduated from college. I got 2 companies on both sides of the North American border that I got to figure out what the hell to do with those. And I've committed to supporting 250 projects across Canada in 1 year. How in the hell can I help your kids of Ghana? Don't put a guilt trip on me. How many of you know I thought all of that in about 5.5 seconds? Have you ever done that? That's reality. I'm just being honest with you. So somehow I said to myself, I need to be a catalyst to get this thing to happen. I need to trick 25 people. No, I mean, I need to encourage, one of which is right over there. I need to encourage others to take responsibility of this issue, because I can't. I need to be a catalyst for responsibility. This Ghana project is a perfect articulation of the concept. Someone brought a problem to me. I personally can't solve the problem. I don't have the time, energy, or effort at my disposal. But I could be a catalyst to making it happen. Now, the project will happen. Catalytic leadership means that I don't necessarily get it all done. I don't make it all happen. At the top of the page, write this: always in command, rarely in control. Today's leader is always in command, rarely in control. Always in command, rarely in control. A long time ago, I tried to figure out why. Why did the maid that I supervise do an amazing job even though I wasn't standing there? That there were some employees that no matter who their manager was, they were great. They could have an awesome manager, they could have a horrible manager, they were great. Why were there some people that volunteered in the nonprofit that no matter who their leader was, they were great? Always great. How many of you have met somebody like that? They're always great. I couldn't figure out why. Why is it? What was the ingredient? And as I did an exploration of history, I looked for some historical precedent. So we're going to go on, just like Archimedes last time, we're going to go on a little history journey. What made a person give a little bit more, do a little bit more, and in turn achieve a little bit more? What made a person do that? Was it pride? Was it love? Was it passion? And was there historical precedent for this on a community level? So I started searching for great communities. What were the greatest communities in the history of mankind? And I came across the writings of many historians, and they said Athens. That Athens was one of the greatest city-states in the history of mankind. That it was, that way I can see you. That Athens was a great place. That Athens was, I'm going to move, now I can see her. That Athens was a great city. And many people say that Athens was the greatest city. Birthplace of democracy. Birthplace of arts and culture that we know today. Birthplace of geometry. Birthplace of so much that Western society is, Athens. How many of you know that that is true? Athens. Much of it came from Athens. Certainly, it was the birthplace of democracy. It was a true democracy. All Athenians voted. 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 people would come together every day and debate every issue and then vote. It wasn't a representative democracy. It was a true democracy. It was a contrast to the other city-states. Sparta, where a person gave up everything for the community. As a male, you would join the army at the age of 5 and 6 and 7. And you would not be released from that service till you were 40, 42, 43. Women, same thing. And then you were allowed to marry. You gave all that you were to the state. Not in Athens. In Athens, you were free. Free to make decisions, free to make choices, free to do. Now, let's be clear what free meant. Free was about men. Free was about landowners. So let's not think that everybody, like I wouldn't have been free in Athens, right? My brown butt would not have been free in Athens. But in the context of the day, it was the freest society ever known to mankind up until that point. Who were the leaders? Well, there was 10. But none of them had any more authority than the other 9. There were no political parties. There were no political machines. And as I read history, I found out that I came to learn that the greatest leader was a guy named Pericles. Pericles of Athens. He was a statesman, he was a general, he was an inventor, he was a socialite, he was a community builder. He was what I deem the first community builder in the history of mankind. Because he couldn't force you. He didn't have the power or the authority to make you do anything, because he was just one of 10. And because there was no political machine, he couldn't put the machine into action to force you to do anything. The only thing that Pericles had was the power of his ideas, the power of his rhetoric, the power of the vision that he cast. That's what Pericles had. Jump forward to the 21st century. I don't have power over you. And if I do have authority over you, most people push back and say, I don't care if you're my boss, you can kiss my ass. How many of you know that's prevalent today? How about our kids? How about our kids looking at us, I don't care if you're my parent. I mean, there was a time in our society that any mom could tell any kid what to do and that kid snapped to yes or no. Today, it's like, I don't know who you are, lady, but I ain't doing anything you say. And even if you were my mom, I ain't doing what you're saying. Prevalent in our society? So much like Athens, we don't have the power of authority necessarily. And if we're a community builder, we really don't, because I got to get this organization over here to help me and that one over there and that one, and I don't have authority over them. Somehow Pericles, and he said a quote, and I swear to you guys, I believe that Pericles spoke directly to me. He was speaking directly to me. And he said, if Athens would appear great to you, Ian, if Athens seems like a great city to you, Ian, then consider that her glories were purchased by valiant men and women that understood their responsibility and acted on their duty. That's why the maid does it right, no matter who her boss is. That's why the volunteer does it right, no matter who is organizing the event, because they understand their responsibility and they act on their duty. What if I could get all my employees to understand their responsibility and act on their duty? What if I could get all citizens in a neighborhood to understand their responsibility and act on their duty? What if I could get all parents to understand their responsibility and act on their duty? What if we could get everybody in Fort McMurray to understand their responsibility and act on their duty? How many agree with me we'd have a great community within 2 weeks? So what's the key? Well, Pericles said that that was it, that I need to be a catalyst for responsibility. And in today's 21st century, where there's not enough time, energy, or effort for me to get done everything I get done, I got to make that guy over there believe in his heart that he has a responsibility to the kids of Ghana. And if I can get him to believe he has a responsibility to the kids of Ghana, how many would agree with me he'll act on his duty? He'll act on his duty. And now a village will be fundamentally changed. Because of me? No. I have nothing to do with it. I just said, let's go to Ghana. But then we provided a framework, we provided a little bit of vision, we provide a little bit of guidance and direction, and then you get out of people's way. Make no mistake, and I'll say this on camera, and I'll say it in front of him. Ultimately, I'm going to be in control of this, I'm going to command this project. Because I've done it before. I know what we're doing. Have you ever done an international project in Africa? No, I have. So I'll command it, but I'm not going to control it. I'm not going to control it. They're going to make decisions. They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to, but if it needs to be, then we will. We'll just make slight adjustments. Because I've done it before. Not because I'm smarter, better. I've just done it before. And I know what has to happen. Command, not necessarily in control. Catalytic in nature. Is there historical precedence? Just look at Pericles. Look at this really quick. 2 millennia after Athenians lived, we still marvel at what they achieved. But the visible remains are as impressive as they are. What's the visible remains? What do you see in every Greek restaurant? What's the picture you see? You see those buildings on the top of that hill, the Acropolis. All of those buildings. Does anybody know who built those buildings? How many of you raise your hand if you think it was master builders? Did master builders build the buildings that stand thousands of years later? Who built those buildings? Anybody know? No, not slaves. Common people. Pericles had to put people to work because there was a lot of prosperity. They were getting tribute from all over Peloponnesia. So he had a bunch of people that weren't working. There was all a bunch of money coming in. He said, we got to put these people to work. Every Athenian to work, every citizen a wage earner. Every Athenian to work, every citizen a wage earner. So he created a public works project. And he taught all these people a skill. He thought it was going to take 10 years. Because the citizens built it, it took like 3. And isn't it funny? The buildings built by citizens still stand today. And you want to know, some of you may have watched that Let Them Be Kids movie I gave you at the beginning. We built the whole Let Them Be Kids model on Pericles of Athens and the building of the buildings on the top of the Acropolis. Let the citizens build it. It'll stand for 2,000 years. That's the true story. So what is he saying? Or what did the historian Kagan say about it? Pericles confronted the problem that face any free and democratic society. How can the citizens be persuaded to make sacrifices necessary for its success? You face that same in the workplace. How can I get my employees to give their best, make the sacrifices necessary? Tyrants and dictators can rely on mercenaries and compulsion to defend their states. Rare states like Sparta, a closed authoritarian society, can inoculate in their people a willingness to renounce even their private lives. But democracies cannot use such devices. Instead, democratic leadership involves a freer kind of public education. Pericles sought to teach the Athenians that their own interests were directly tied together with those of the community, and they could not secure their own prosperity unless their state was secure and prosperous, that the ordinary man could achieve greatness only through the greatness of his or her society. Pericles tried to shape a new kind of society and a new kind of citizen, not with the use of force or terror, but through the power of ideas, the strength of his personality, the use of reason, and the genius and unique persuasive rhetoric. Now, what does that mean? That means that what that tells me is that this same leadership approach that Pericles used is the approach that's needed today. I can't get everything done. I need other people to step up. And in allowing them to step up, I have to step back and be catalytic in nature. So do you know how to be a catalyst to get someone else to take responsibility and be excited about it? This is fairly cerebral. This is not 4 bullet points to get somebody to do something. Over the next 3 weeks, we'll talk about how, and we'll talk specifically tonight, how do I get somebody to buy in? What's the secret sauce to get someone to buy into something? How do I build pride? Pride. How do I get an employee or a community member to take pride in who they are and take pride in what they're involved in? Why is pride so powerful? I don't mean arrogance. I mean pride. How do you know when you see, can you touch pride? But give me some examples of when you can see it. What does pride look like? What's that? A group of lionesses. Well, a group of lionesses, right. They know their business and they can get it done.
Oh, now they're a pride.
Oh, they're a pride. Yes, that's right, they are. You're right. They're called a pride. What does pride look like? When do I see pride?
Smiles on faces.
Okay, smiles on faces. What else?
The sense of achievement you can see in their face.
How does pride manifest itself in a workplace? When do you know you're dealing with someone that takes great pride in their work? How does that manifest itself?
Honest with their work.
They're honest with their work. What else? Quality work? Do you see quality work? Do they come in early? Stay late? Not have to be told to do that. Do they call in less or call in more? Less. Do they clean their front yard? Do they make sure their kids get to school? So, do we need to go around teaching and telling people to do those things, or should we just develop pride? Do you have a way to develop pride in the people around you? Do you have a way to develop pride in your workplace? Can you develop pride? For me, instead of working on all those other things that I just mentioned, work on pride, and all those other things will come naturally. They'll flow from the development of pride. Most people don't know how to do that. So we'll give you a system for developing pride. Okay, turn to this page really, really quick. We got 40 minutes left. I want you to go through the self-survey. So the competency catalyst for responsibility. Today's leader places a priority on engaging and cultivating ownership and responsibility. How do I engage a human being and get them to take greater ownership than they did the day before? 1, I'm totally not like these things. 10, I totally am like these things. I'm going to read them randomly. You go ahead and score yourself. Here we go. Ready, set, go. And for all of you enjoying the Bill Cosby concert right now, hope you're having a wonderful time. We're having a wonderful time too. You're watching this via tape in your pajamas. Close your robe, Bob. I've told you that over and over. Do any of you watch this in your robe? Please don't. Thank you. Because that visual really freaks me out. Anyways, I believe I have a responsibility to my employees, my organization, and my community. I believe that others are capable of and have the right to make decisions that affect their situation. I believe that each person has knowledge, experience, skills that can strengthen a team. I can apply a catalyst approach to my work and my other stakeholders. I actively value and seek diverse viewpoints and perspectives. I encourage everyone to contribute to their stakeholder group. I personally define issues as opportunities that motivate action, ways to communicate the same to others. I understand that pride is a powerful form of human capital. I have a strategy in place to build pride. I have a system in place to communicate what winning is. I understand what it takes to gain buy-in. I have effective tools to mobilize human resources to get things done through others. Get things done through others. When you're done taking the little survey, pick up your eyes. Tim, can you toss me a bottle of water, please? Pick up your eyes, and that way I'll know you are done. Thank you, sir, very much. Okay. Catalyst for responsibility. How do I get other people to do things and like it? And notice, it's more than do things. How do I get other people to take ownership? Ross doesn't know this, but in a few short weeks, I'm going to be less and less and less and less involved in the Ghana project. Just a supporter like everybody else, just a donor like everybody else, and maybe even a participant that goes with my family. But less and less in the organization, less and less involved. Why? Because they know what they're doing. They have all the contacts. They are connected with kids around the world, and then indirectly connected to Compassion International. After I've met with the High Commissioner, the ambassador from Ghana, set that up, I'll just turn it over to everybody. I don't need to be involved anymore. It's like this delegation thing. I don't need to be involved anymore. They know what they're doing. They have their vision. They've built their outcomes. And then I can slowly but surely go do the stuff I'm supposed to be doing. Ross, Lana, Naomi, Cynthia, Sarah, all the others, they got Ghana handled, man. They got Ghana handled. And they're going to do it a lot better than I could have ever done it. And they're going to go make an incredible impact in Ghana. So it's not just how do I get other people to do it, how do I get them to own it and really make it theirs? And hopefully a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, when everybody's celebrating how awesome the Ghana project is, hopefully nobody even knows I was involved. They don't even know I was a participant. Don't even know I was a player. Just do your little thing, be catalytic, get out of the way. One thing I would caution you on is that if you have an ego, you're not going to be a good catalyst for responsibility. Because for other people to take ownership, what do you have to do? You got to get out of the way. You got to be okay with yourself. You got to be okay within yourself. You got to be willing to just let people own it and be the heroes. And then you just quietly fade. You might write this in some white space free of charge. Low visibility, high impact. Low visibility, high impact. Guy in the plane the other day said to me, sitting, we're flying from Toronto to wherever, sitting with me up in first class, and we were just talking about what we do and was talking about let them be kids. And he goes, I've never heard of you. Because I gave him a copy of the movie. He's like, he's looking at it, he says, this is amazing. I've never heard of you. And I thought to myself, good. Low visibility, high impact. Low visibility, high impact. That's the kind of leaders I think we want today. How many of you are tired of high visibility, low impact leaders? To hell with that, man. To hell with high visibility, low impact leaders. Let's just have some low visibility, high impact leaders. That's a catalyst for responsibility mentality. The challenge is, guys, that the first step in getting somebody else to take responsibility is they have to respect you. Nobody's gonna be willing to take responsibility if they don't respect you. So individual responsibility and collective accountability has to be in our minds. So what does that mean? Individual responsibility. I'm individually responsible. But all of us are collectively accountable to the next generation. How many of you agree with that? We're collectively accountable to the next generation. All of us are collectively accountable in this situation to the people who are paying for this. So that logo right there, buddy, they footed your bill. You're individually responsible, and we're collectively accountable to the guy that foot our bill to be here, the taxpayer. So the taxpayer foot all of our bills to go through 15 weeks of training. Now they could have participated as well, but they chose not to. So we are collectively accountable. If we take this 15 weeks and do nothing with it, we are accountable to them. I'm not just accountable to them. Well, Ian wasn't a very good speaker. I didn't really like his style. Okay, well that's great, but you can't use that as an excuse. There's plenty of information here that's relevant, usable, meaningful. I know that. Maybe not everything resonates with you, but I guarantee you in 15 weeks there's something that could help you, at least one thing. So we're collectively accountable to a whole community. Individually responsible, collectively accountable. So I think that the first step is you got to have a code of conduct today. If I want other people to take greater ownership and responsibility, they got to respect me. And I got to have a code of conduct. Oh, you're talking about a mission statement? No, I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about what do I stand for and how do other people see it. So before I can say, you need to take greater responsibility and ownership, do I have a code of conduct that would make them want to do that? Can they trust me enough? Am I a good steward enough that they would want to do that? So tonight we're going to build your code of conduct. And it's not going to take very long. I'm just going to ask you 3 questions. 3 questions that I'm going to ask you. And I want you to actually physically write them down. So get on this page right here. So what's a code of conduct? What is it? We hear it talked about a lot, but what is a code of conduct? What does that even mean? It's a code of conduct.
A group of principles that guide you through your activities or
Okay.
whatever it is you do.
A group of principles, and it says right here, a personal system of principles, values, and standards of behavior that guide what we think, say, and do. That's the simplicity. Here's how I operate life, man. How many of you have policies and procedures in your workplace? How many of you have policies and procedures for your personal life? In today's day and age, how many would agree with me? Very few people have deep policies and procedures, if you will, for their personal life. So a code of conduct is just, this is how I operate, man. Write this down. Say, do. On the top of your piece of paper, write say. On the other side, write do. Say, do. Have all of you heard a lot of talk about authenticity? That's the big hot new buzzword. Got to be authentic. They're doing workshops in Toronto on authenticity. And that just seems inauthentic to me. I got to go learn how to be more authentic. That's ridiculous. You know what authenticity is? That say-do that you have way wide on your piece of paper? Authenticity is when there's no gap. When there's no gap between say and do, or when the gap is minimal, how many of you agree with me that's authentic? When what I say I am, I do on a regular and consistent basis, people will find me to be authentic. Well, how do I do that in a busy lifestyle? I think you proactively establish what people can expect from you and what you can expect from yourself. That's a code of conduct to me. So I can't be a catalyst for responsibility unless people know what they can expect from me and I regularly do it. So let's go through it really quick. So I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to respond by writing them down. The responses. What are 3 values you hold dear? And how would I see them? So it's not just, I believe in honesty. Well, how will I see honesty in play every day? Okay? Code of conduct. So what are the 3 things? What are the 3 things? Is it hard work? You believe in hard work? Well, how would I see that? You believe in love? How would I see that? And if you can't get 3, that's all right. At least get 1 down, just for the exercise, and you can go complete it at another time. All right, anybody brave enough to share what one of the things that one of my 3 values is? Anybody brave enough to share? Okay, you believe in a balanced life and work, a holistic approach to life, that life is more than just putting in 60 hours into the workplace, that there's other things that are more important. How would I see that every day?
So a change for me has been, I used to have a company vehicle, I've now gone to the bus. I don't work overtime, I work unless really needed, but I work 8 to 5 every day.
Okay, so you have made a fundamental life change. Would you agree with me? That would be no gap between say and do. I believe in work-life balance. I don't even know what my kids look like anymore. I believe in work-life balance. Holy crap, I'm going to stay here till 10 o'clock at night. Right? Big gap, but at least by what she said, pretty authentic. All right, somebody else. Values. What is a value you hold dear and how would I see it? Come on. Yes.
I believe strongly in teamwork. I feel that it's only if you're working as a group that you really get a lot done.
Okay.
Not every single person should contribute whatever their strength is.
Okay, how would we see that?
At work, I'm known as somebody who, no matter what comes up, I will go help. Literally, the handyman can't go on vacation unless I'm there. And I'm the architect, so that doesn't even make sense. But because I'm so willing to jump in and change a light bulb or pick up a hammer, that I'm relied on. Also, I play a lot of team sports, so I'm used to just playing whatever positions assigned, so I play very diverse positions for soccer and rugby especially.
Very good. So authentic, right? So no gap between say and do. Like here's one of my values. I believe that every kid has a right to play. That's one of the values I have. I believe every kid has a right to play. No exceptions. So when presented with the Ghana project, what did I have to do? I had to participate. I had to figure out something because it's one of my values. Every kid has a right to play, no exceptions. How many playgrounds in the total country of Ghana? Anybody know? How many think? Total country of Ghana, how many playgrounds?
Soon to be 2.
What's that?
Soon to be
Soon to be 2. No, it's a couple more than 2, but how many do you think in the whole country? 6. The whole country, 6. That means we're bringing almost 50% of what the total is for the whole country. Every kid has a right to play. So how would you see that? When Cynthia comes up, I got to be a catalyst. Okay? So values. Now, we got to be very careful about something. Oftentimes, we judge ourselves on our intentions. We judge others on their actions. Let me give you a very clear example. A number of months ago, one of the times I was here in Fort McMurray, I was in the hotel room. I had just arrived. I got a phone call. Bring, not bring, but and so it's my wife. Oh, hey, Gina, how are you? Well, I'm not so great. Uh-oh, here we go. What's going on? Did you change the light bulb in the garage before you left? Well, how many of you know men know that pause? When you're like, crap, I didn't do that. I was supposed to do that. How am I going to get out of the fact that I'm about to get my butt chewed out? How many of you know what I'm talking about right now? She goes, and I didn't even have a chance to answer. She goes, no, you did not. I don't care what you intended to do because I have a huge cut on my shin because I was out in the garage and I cut myself on your bike that's old and I told you to throw away years ago. I need to get a tetanus shot now. And how many of you know at that point, everything that I've always said I would do and have never done for the last 13 years began to come out? How many? Yeah, you've been there. Every single thing. I mean, like everything I said I would ever do but have not done came out. And do you remember that time you got the car stolen before the baby was born and we lost all of the handmade booties? Are we going there? Come on. And so I said, look, I'm slammed, dude. And I was trying to get out the door. I was going to miss my plane up here to Fort McMurray. You knew I was trying to get out the door. I had every intention of the world of changing the light bulb. All she knows is that she's 5'2". Even at the tallest ladder top step, she couldn't reach it. And now I'm going to be gone 3 days and there's no light in the garage. I'm asking her to judge me on my intentions. All she knows is her leg is cut and there's no light. Okay, now it's 2 hours later. It was a really, really cold night. The heater in my hotel room is not working. I have called the front desk 3 times. I'd like to go to bed. I'm freezing my ass off. Hello, front desk. Yeah, I've been waiting for hours for an engineer. Well, we've just been really busy down here, Mr. Hill. It's just been really, really slammed, and he'll come up as soon as he can. There's other units that are having a problem too, and do you think I really care about that? I'd like to get to bed. Isn't it funny? My wife, please judge me on my intention. The front desk clerk, hey, I'm judging you on your actions. So as we go through this code of conduct, here's what I value, here's what I do. How many would agree with me? We can't judge ourselves on our intentions anymore. If you want to close the say-do gap, you will not judge yourself on intentions anymore. You will only judge yourself on what you did. That's a high standard, but it's a standard that followers and peers will sincerely appreciate. And they'll be more likely to get on board and buy in to whatever it is you're doing. Do you judge yourself on your actions or your intentions? All right, let's go to the second question. What are 3 things your coworkers can absolutely guarantee from you? What are 3 things your coworkers can absolutely guarantee from you? Can your coworkers absolutely guarantee you'll be 5 minutes late? Can they absolutely guarantee an inappropriate remark in a meeting? Can they absolutely guarantee a roll of the eyes when someone gives an idea that's been given before? Really? If I sat down with them and asked them about you, and I said, what you can just guarantee about them? Oh, I gotta tell you, man, I guarantee you whatever they say they're going to do, it'll be an hour late. So we just kind of plan around them. Or is it this? You can absolutely guarantee a kind word. You can absolutely guarantee that they'll be there for you and support you in tough times. You can absolutely guarantee their work will be absolutely perfect. You can absolutely guarantee professionalism no matter what the situation is. How many would agree with me it's one or the other? I don't know. They're always all over the place. I can never figure out what we can guarantee from them. Code of conduct. Why am I asking you to proactively identify what someone can guarantee from you? Why am I asking you to proactively identify it? Because it's going to become a do, or at least it's more likely to. Why else? Why else? Why else am I asking you to proactively identify that thing they can guarantee? It's conscious, and then it's going to, go ahead.
It's not always conscious what we do. We're not always aware that it might be seen as something
Okay.
worse than we think it is.
Okay.
It's a cornerstone.
It becomes a cornerstone that we can build everything else on. Very good. Why else? How about this? Because I hope you're picking something you know you can deliver on. Hopefully you're picking something that's in what golfers would call your sweet spot. Something that you know you can knock down every single time. Like one of the things you can absolutely guarantee from me is enthusiasm. I will be enthusiastic. You can just know that. You can absolutely guarantee from me work ethic. I mean, Ross and I have gone on the whole tour of the hinterland of rural Alberta, rural RMWB, and we work hard. From 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, multiple days, right? Multiple days. Flying on planes, driving in cars, walking through mud. I mean, multiple days. And I don't think there's ever been a time that I've looked at you and said, that's too much. We're working ourselves in the ground. I don't think there's ever been a time. I always just look at you and say, okay, well, whatever you think is best. If that's what's going to be best for the community, let's try to make that work. Let's fly from here. Let's drive to there, right? And what's crazy about this guy is he's like, yep, I'm in. Well, let's do it. Here we go. Ian and Ross's excellent adventure. Woo, here we go. Another one. What's your point, Ian? You can absolutely guarantee work ethic for me. I want to work. Proactively, I know this. I know I have in me enthusiasm, and I know how to work. So I can almost guarantee I'm going to deliver that regularly. So the other reason I'm asking you to identify it proactively is so that you know you can deliver it. Anybody else? Something that your people or someone that works with you could absolutely guarantee? Anybody else? Absolute guarantee. Or how about this? Go ahead.
No judgment.
No judgment. So you're going to absolutely guarantee that I'm going to take you for face value. I'm going to work with you for face value. I'm not going to judge you. Give you every opportunity. Okay? Last one. What are 3 things you will not tolerate? What are 3 things you will not tolerate? Dishonesty, anger, wasted potential. What will you absolutely not tolerate? Hypocrisy. Anybody willing to share one of those? What's that? You just said it. Hypocrisy. Okay, somebody else. Absolutely guarantee it. Okay, that you will not tolerate it. What will you not tolerate? Aggression. What will you not tolerate? Lying. What will you not tolerate? What's that? So mocking of others, making fun of others.
People being condescending. I don't like people talking down to other people.
People talking down. Okay, now, why do you think we asked this question as a part of your code of conduct? What's the first thing you have to do with that question? What's the first evaluation you're doing? When you write them down, and you say, those are 3 things I will not tolerate. What's the first thing you're doing with those 3 things? You're evaluating if you're doing them yourself, because that would be hypocrisy. Does anybody know where the word hypocrisy comes from in the Greek? Anybody know? Anybody knows? So you would make a statue. And if you were really, really wealthy, you'd make the statue out of marble. But if you weren't so wealthy, they would make I wouldn't call it a paper mache, but they would make a cast of it. And hypocrisy was that fake marble statue that you would put in your garden so all of your friends thought you were as wealthy as the other wealthy Athenians. It's a true story. That's what it was. So you wanted to play with the rich boys, you'd have a big statue in your backyard, but you weren't rich enough to buy a marble statue, so you'd get a fake marble statue. It was a hypocrisy. You don't believe me? Google it tonight. Wikipedia, baby. Wikipedia. I learned everything I know from Wikipedia. 9 answers to 3 questions. Code of conduct. You're done. If you'll sit down and answer those 3 questions, 9 responses, you have just built your code of conduct. Does your code of conduct need to be long and lengthy and 1,000 words? Yes or no? Well, it can be as long as it's meaningful to you. So the key is that it's meaningful. It becomes the litmus test for the say-do gap. What do you think the benefit would be if you either did this exercise, or for those of you that have done something like this before, revisited this exercise? What could be some benefit to you and to those around you if you were to do this?
Well, for me, I think it holds you accountable to the things you're not going to tolerate. Because I think as I was writing them, there's a lot of things that I say I wouldn't tolerate, but if it happens, what do you actually do about it?
Right.
You have a leader being ignorant to you, and that's something I don't tolerate. Am I just going to tolerate it? Or what are you talking about?
White space free of charge. Write this. We will only change that which we will no longer tolerate. Yeah, that's right. I did say that the first time we were together. We will only change that which we will no longer tolerate. Obviously, we are okay with little kids getting raped. I don't see marches in the streets against pedophiles. I don't see marches on Ottawa, Parliament Hill, to stop child pornography and the sex trade. I don't see that. Has anybody seen that? I didn't see the lead on the National. Hi, this is Peter Manbridge in the National. Today in Ottawa, thousands of people marched against childhood abuse, sexual abuse of children. There was 1 million people that came to Ottawa to stop it. Have you ever seen that? Well, obviously we're okay with it. Obviously we tolerate it. You ready for this, guys? Let me even get a little bit more harsh. The world is in greater danger from those who tolerate evil than from those who commit it. The world is in greater danger from those who tolerate evil than those who commit it. Rabbi Joachim Prinz, he happened to be a rabbi during the rise of the Nazi Party in Jerusalem. How many would agree with me? That would be a tough job. Like, okay, you're going to Lisbon, you're going to New York, you're going to Germany. Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that as a rabbi. Thank you so much. In 1939, right? That's not an exciting place to be. So this guy, Rabbi Yaakov Prince, he was the one that said, the world is in greater danger for those who tolerate evil than from those who commit it. And I think he was pretty profound in saying that. Forget about his religious background. That's just a pretty profound statement. Wow. How about here in Fort McMurray? How many times you drive down Franklin Avenue, you know where the drugs are being sold. You know what's going down in the apartment or the street or the corner or the whatever. You know what I'm proud to say? 3 women in Fort Chip, 3 women in Fort Chip who are a part of this program stood up and said this, enough. The school's never had a PTA in the history of the school. Right, Ross? And they said, our kids, listen to this, guys. If I'm a boy in Fort Chip at the Fort Chip Community School, there's no running water in the bathroom. I can't wash my hands. And it's been that way for months. How many say that's completely unacceptable? And if I sit down to go to the bathroom, if I sit down to go to the bathroom, not stand up to go to the bathroom at the urinal, sit down to go to the bathroom, there is no stall. Every kid can watch me sit down and go to the bathroom. How many of you know a grade 3 student ain't doing that? What do? They either hold it all day or they go home. And then how many know if they go home, they ain't coming back? Would you agree with me? This is completely unacceptable, what I'm telling you right now. I'm not talking about the school in Anawase in Volta, Ghana. I'm talking about right here. Here's what 3 moms said. Enough. We are not tolerating this anymore. And what did they do, Ross? They started a PTA. They said, we're learning all this stupid stuff in Ian's boot camp. We got to stop waiting for somebody else to fix this. We're going to fix it right now. And they formed this PTA. And they're going to get the stalls taken care of. They're going to get the door fixed. They're going to get it handled. Why? It's no longer tolerable. And they came to the conclusion that someone's not going to fly in from Fort McMurray or from Edmonton or from Calgary or from Toronto to fix their problem. We're going to fix it right now. How about you? What have you tolerated in your own personal life that's intolerable? What have you tolerated in the community that's completely intolerable? What have you tolerated from yourself that is completely intolerable? The catalyst for responsibility. I know that you thought it was trite when you read it, but listen. I believe I have a responsibility to my family, my employees, my organization, and my community. Do you really believe that? Some of you circled 9 and 10, but you walk down the street and see crap and filth and homeless people or whatever, and you tolerate it. Yeah, but Ian, it becomes burdensome. I couldn't take it all on. Correct. So something to thoughtfully consider is what I call the 10-foot rule of responsibility. I'm just responsible for 10 feet. I'm not going to take on everything, Calcutta. I'm not taking on Calcutta. I'm not taking on New York City. I'm not taking on Jane and Finch and Toronto. Just 10 feet, man. Let me just handle 10 feet. How many agree you could probably handle 10 feet? There's only one challenge with the 10 feet. 10 feet moves with me. 10-foot rule, man. I'll be responsible for whatever's within 10 feet of me. So don't get close to me, because I won't be responsible for it. Catalyst for responsibility. If you say you won't tolerate it, don't tolerate it. All right, what else could you gain from this? Quickly, because then we only got about 12 minutes, 13 minutes left. What else could you gain from a code of conduct? What else might be powerful for you or be an advantage to you? What else? What could it do for those around you? What would it do for those around you if you did a code of conduct and really took it seriously? What would it do for those? Could motivate them. How would it motivate them? To copy you. Huh, isn't that funny? Is that what you said? So to copy you, you would be a role model for them. What else would it do for those around you?
Sets boundaries for them to work in.
Very good. Sets boundaries. How many of you have worked for this person? Some days they're high, some days. How many of you work for this person? And it sounds like this. So, what mood is the boss in today? I'm thinking about talking to the boss. How are they doing today?
We actually have somebody where, sorry, I do.
He's my boss, FYI.
that what me and one of the other coworkers developed this way that we can tell how a mood of a certain person. We say it's cloudy with a chance of showers today.
Ah, see?
So it's sunny today. So this person was having some issues. So I said, well, we had this same talk about consistency and attitude. And said, well, when you see this, you just come by and you tell me it's cloudy with a chance of showers today, or it's sunny today. So we kind of know that kind of little.
And we can kind of work around that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is it fair or is it right morally that any human being has that kind of power, a bunch of coworkers or employees? Is that right? Now, so if I want to be a leader today, I better establish a code of conduct, because that's what's going to build consistency and trust. You can trust what you're going to get from me. You might not like. How many of you ever had a boss that you didn't like him, but you knew what you were going to get? And you were more willing to follow that than this. Code of conduct tells people, this is what I am, this is what I stand for. And as long as more times than not, more days than not, more weeks than not, more years than not, I'm that, you're good with me. And I got a better chance to get you to come and take ownership of something. If I'm not that, less of a chance for you to take ownership. And frankly, almost you won't take ownership. You'll just trade time for money. Or you'll just be involved to a limited degree. All right, so the first step is I got to be able to be consistent, be authentic, and close the say-do gap. The simplest way to do it, a code of conduct, and follow that code of conduct. Okay, Ian, but how do I get somebody to buy in? Being a catalyst for responsibility would imply that, and ownership would imply that he buys in. I don't understand how to get somebody to buy in. So let's talk about the science of buy-in. Now, obviously, over the next 3 weeks, we'll talk more about it. But the science of buying in. What are the steps, the sequences to get another human being to buy in? So from now on, anytime you're going to do something with a stakeholder group, new, let's say something new, you're going to ask yourself these buy-in questions before you begin, proactively, right? Do this. Dr. Ludwig in the University of Texas, who also helped us better understand outside-the-box thinking, said that there was 3 keys to getting somebody to buy in. He said key number 1, people had to perceive that it was relevant. If it was relevant to them personally, they would buy in. If it wasn't relevant to them personally, they wouldn't buy in. What do I mean by relevant? What does that even mean? It's relevancy. If it matters to their life. Citizens are apathetic. They'll never get involved. Oh, by the way, we're closing your school, driving your kids 45 minutes in the dark every day. Holy crap, get down to the school. And we've experienced that, right? If all of a sudden it affects you personally, people are showing up. So, city center, it's great, it's awesome. We're taking people's land. Holy crap! Just a little bit out of the headlines I thought I would throw in there. I'm not on either side of the fence, y'all. I'm just an outside person making an observation. That's all. I mean, really. But did people get involved? Are people involved? People are engaged. Hey, what are you doing? The day before that, people were like, we don't care, whatever, city center, we don't. Because it was relevant. So I got to ask myself before I start something, how are we going to show the relevance of this new software program that we're implementing? How are we going to show the relevance of this new policy? How are we going to show the relevance of our new community initiative? How are we going to show the relevance? If I can't explain it, then don't go try to do it. If I can't explain how it's relevant to the various stakeholder groups, and if I can't explain it logically and clearly, and how am I going to explain it? Am I going to explain it through one communication style, or how many communication styles do I need to explain it through? 4. I need to explain it for the fact-based communicator, the emotion-based communicator, the value-based communicator, and the belief-based communicator. I need to make sure. Well, it can't be done. They do it every day. Dodge does it in every truck commercial. Every car commercial, as I told you before, has all 4 communication styles happening. So if they can do it, you can do it. Relevant. Second, people won't buy in unless they see the impact. That's why I told you from the beginning, be an outcome-based, impact-focused leader. What's the outcome? What's the impact? Because if I can show you the impact, you'll buy in. The kids at the Conklin school took their own time to raise $1,000. These are 12 and 13-year-old kids, took their own time, bake sales, this and that, and they got no direct benefit. They get no direct benefit. We didn't buy them a pizza party. We didn't give them a prize, did we? Here's what we gave them. Thank you so much.
We talked to them about it and basically asked them if they wanted to be challenged.
Here's what we told them. Here would be the impact of your effort. The kids wouldn't have to go home when it rained. They'd be able to have school if we build them 4 walls. And they all kind of looked at each other like, yeah, even though we hate school, we can understand how kids, that would suck that every time it rained we had to go home. Okay, let's raise $1,000 to build a wall. We clearly articulated to them the impact, because it's certainly not relevant to them necessarily, because they're not going to benefit in any way. Are you able to explain the impact of your project, the impact of either doing it or what? Or the consequences of not doing it. So sometimes I'm explaining impact by saying, gosh, you know what, if we don't implement this new software program, which we know is a pain in everybody's butt, everything's going to crash around here. Oh, everything's going to crash? Yeah, we'd have to go back to manual. Oh, we don't want to do manual. Okay, let's go for it. Impact. And then finally, quality. What do you mean by quality, Ian? You're not going to buy into something if you think it's going to be a joke. You're not going to buy into something if you think it's going to be a failure. You're not going to buy into something if you think it's going to lose. How many agree with me? You're not going to align yourself with something that you think is a failure. You're not. Have you ever gone to the grocery store? Have you ever gone to the Canada Post or wherever there's a cork board, and on that cork board there's all the flyers from the community? Events, activities, whatever. And you see a flyer. And then down on the flyer you see a logo. And you look at that logo and you're like, oh, I know that logo. That's such and such organization. You know what? Every event they do is awesome. I think I'll go to that. Conversely, you look at it and you say to yourself, wow, look at that logo. Everything they do sucks. I am not going to that. Do any of you know those logos? Quality. See, the tough part is if I want to get you to buy in, I've got to ask myself, what's your perception of our quality? Because if your perception is we're no good, highly unlikely you'll buy in. If your perception is we're of quality, greater likelihood that you'll buy in. Okay, Ian, what do we do with that? Before you roll it out, you have to say to yourself, hey everybody, are they going to perceive we're of quality or not? What if we all look at each other and go, we've kind of stumbled lately. They might perceive that we're not of quality. What do you do then? How do I overcome that objection? How do you think I overcome that objection? Improve. Okay, but I don't have time to improve. I got to roll this thing out, but I need them to help me so we can improve. So what do I do? When the employees are all looking at me like this, really? Okay, so I got to be honest. I can understand why many of you wouldn't want to buy in. I know over the last 3 years we've implemented some programs and it hasn't always gone well. Let me tell you what we are doing differently this time to make sure this goes well. Does that deflate all the snipers in the room? What do I mean by snipers? Snipers are the people doing this. Can you believe they're rolling this crap out again? I can't believe it. This is a joke, man. The last 4 times they rolled it out, it was a joke, and this is going to be a joke too. That's a sniper. They pop up, say a few things, and then back into the crowd. Have you ever seen the sniper? Are you the sniper? Don't tell me. You may be the sniper. So how do I deal with the sniper? I'm transparent. Ross is right. I just step up and say, I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking to yourself, I can't believe we're doing something new because the last new things we did sucked. Well, you know what? You're right. It did. And we've all sat down and looked at it as a leadership team, and we've decided that not only was it horrible, it was unacceptable, and we've made these changes. There have even been times when I've said this when there's a real deep lack of trust. I can totally understand why you wouldn't trust us as leaders. All I'm asking you to do is trust us for 5 minutes. And if we deliver for 5 minutes, will you give us 15 minutes more? And if we deliver for 15 minutes, then I'll ask you for an hour. And any way along the way, if we don't deliver, then I would understand why you would never trust me again. And I'm willing to take that risk because I'm here to tell you that we'll do what we say we're going to do. Because maybe it's that, the trust level is that low. So it's not that you can't overcome it. You can overcome it, but the only way to overcome it is what Ross said, just be honest. So, relevant. So before you ever start, you sit. Someone's got to be the buy-in police. Whoa, wait a minute, everybody. How are we going to explain the relevance of this thing? Whoa, everybody. We got to be able to articulate the impact. If we can't articulate the impact, no one's going to buy in. Wait a minute, everybody. How have we done in the last 2 years with this new group, this stakeholder group over here? Are we sure that they think we're of quality? Have we stumbled any time? And if we have, let's just get that out in the open right away and explain to them how we're different. What would this do for you if you just established this little system before you did anything new? What do you think it would do for you? We're almost done. 3-4 minutes left. What do you think it would do for you? What's that? People probably would be more likely to do what you ask. Not a guarantee, but they would be more likely to be open to it. Somebody else. What else would it do for you? Your credibility would go up significantly because you're not bringing trite and trivial things. You've thought them through. Would this force you to think it through? It would force you to think it through. You would have to have these things in place before you went out. So you're going to be more likely to succeed. Does it guarantee success? No, of course it doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't guarantee success in any way, but it increases the likelihood of someone buying in. Okay, what else could it do for you? It would make your job easier. That's right. That's right. And when combined with effective delegation, and when combined with organizing and maximizing utilization of your time, when this system is combined with the other systems, you all of a sudden are more effective, you're more efficient, you're a better leader. And people are more likely to get on board with you, especially when they know what they can guarantee from you and what you will not tolerate. You cannot take these things in slices, as you've heard me say before. It's a cumulative effect of all of these little things that make you a more effective leader. Remember, there's a balance between leadership and management. So leadership is vision, direction. Management is having a system to get buy-in. Management is maximizing my time. Leadership is buy-in. I know how to get buy-in. But the processes for getting buy-in are more on the management side of things. So all this talk, and you've heard me say this before about, well, don't be a manager, be a leader. Well, yeah, you need to be a manager, dude. This is what managers do. They know the fundamental, intricate steps. The leader, if all you had is a person that just did this, casted vision every day, casted vision every day, casted vision every day, is cast vision every day, but there's no substance behind it, how many of you don't want to work for that? But if all you have is a technocrat that just does management every day, process system, never a vision, just process system. How many know you can't do that either? You want to be a great leader? You're a little bit of both. You're a little bit of both. You can cast a vision and you can back it up with some substance. You can motivate by listening, but you can also help them grow through poor performance. It's a balance of both. So over the next 3 weeks, my job is to help you learn and understand how to be a catalyst for responsibility. Not this week, but the following week, we're going to take 3 days and talk about building pride. And that'll lead right into the coaching session. So we're going to talk about how do you build pride. And we'll do a little teaching on it, and then we'll walk you through it. How do I build pride? And who has the full handout? Does anybody have the full handout? The color? Yeah, you got one? So I'm going to actually give you a process, a system. I've given you a system to build pride. A system to build pride. A flow chart to build pride. Why am I always giving you flow charts for motivation or flow chart for pride? Or why am I giving you flow charts? Easy to understand? Steps. Sequence. And when I can make it sequential and step by step, what is it easier for me to do? Make it a part of my 80% of my unconscious behavior. step-by-step sequence. So I'm going to walk you through how to build organizational pride, how to build individual pride. Yeah, but Ian, I'm not part of a business. I'm a teacher. How do I build pride in my classroom? How do I build pride in my neighborhood? Yeah, but I'm part of a nonprofit. How do I build pride in my organization? How do we build pride in the community? So we'll talk about pride. We'll talk a little bit more about buy-in and code of conduct over the next 3 weeks. Now, the tough part for all of us is we only have 6 weeks left. We only have 6 weeks left and we're done. I mean, it's going to come quick. 6 weeks. We got this 3 and then the 3 and then we're done. So now is the time. If you haven't, and I say this to all of you that are viewing, you don't have to physically come here. But I would say this. Now is the time to take advantage of the support. Because when the 15 weeks are done, I'm not saying I won't support you, but I'm not as engaged, right? I haven't just read your commitment, or I haven't just read your answer to something or your inquiry. I'm not in the moment. So you could send me an email 6 months from now and say, Ian, I'm watching the archive videos, I'm going through, I was a little bit behind, but I'm not going to be as engaged. And frankly, I can honestly say, I don't know if we're doing this again. Not because it's not great and wonderful, but 30 weeks, man. It's time to give it a rest. So I can almost guarantee you this ain't happening again anytime soon. And probably RMWB is getting tired of Ian being around too. So, it's not going to happen again anytime soon. So now is the time. If you need some advice, you need some suggestions, you have some ideas, you need some support, take advantage of it now. Or if you have a vision, an idea, a thing you want to do in the community, and some of you, I've been so impressed by some of you, and your one thing that you want to do, it's so broad, it's so big, it's vision, it's awesome. On the other hand, I've been so impressed that some of you, it's specific to your personal life. And it's about you, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about your mental state, your emotional state, your physicality, whatever, that's awesome. All I care about is at the end of the 15 weeks, you got better at something, okay? Somebody tell me something you're taking away from tonight. What's something you're taking away from tonight? Build pride in your team. And at least planting the seed of how am I going to have a system to build pride on a regular basis. Intentionally and proactively building pride. And we'll get you that. Somebody else. Something you're taking away from tonight. Say what I'm going to do and then do what I'm going to say. That's true authenticity. Reduce the say-do gap. Reduce the say-do gap. Okay, somebody else.
Have people understand their responsibility and let them complete their duties.
If Athens would appear great to you, then consider that her glories were purchased by valiant men and women that understood their responsibility and acted on their duty. Remember in that second thing it said, I believe that people should have a say. It basically is saying, I believe that people are capable. Pericles believed that people were capable, and that if he just showed them their responsibility, they would then act on their duty. That was his belief. Not I have to force them, not I have to tell them, not I have to bang them on the head. If I just show it to them, they'll jump in. And I don't have to do it for them, right? Here's the other thing, guys. Please watch that. If you're in a position where you lead people, watch that delegation. All right, somebody else, something you're taking away from tonight.
Code of conduct.
Have a code of conduct. Would you rather deal with somebody that you knew exactly what you were going to get? If you want people to buy in, if you want to be a catalyst for responsibility, better be able to plant that flag and say, this is what I stand for. Perfect. Even if they don't agree with what you stand for, they're more likely to appreciate that. Okay, here's the last thing that I want you to take away from tonight. So pick up your eyes, give me your eyes really quick. The ladies in Fort Ship have shown us something. They've shown us that when something is intolerable, they can solve it. One of them is a housing manager. One of them is unemployed, I believe. I'm not sure. Not sure exactly what else. Yeah, one is in transition. Let's say that. She's in transition. And then another is a frontline person. 3 moms that have said, what our kids are going through every day is completely intolerable. We're going to get this thing solved. And I challenge you in this next 6 weeks. What's intolerable? What's unacceptable? In the last Leadership Bootcamp, we had a number of people that went out and did things in the community. They joined a board. They got on a commission. They volunteered a little bit more. Got involved in their place of faith. Got involved in their neighborhood. Met their neighbor. made a commitment to just welcome anybody that came new to their apartment complex. They were going to welcome them. I don't know what that thing is you're going to do. I'm buried, Ian. Come on, give me a break. Hey, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. So something's got to change. So what's going to be that thing for you? You know, the recent news where we had that, you know, that girl bullied and then posted a thing on the internet and then she kills herself. That breaks my heart, man. I mean, seriously? Or we read about seniors that are being abused. I mean, who in the hell is beating up a 78-year-old woman? What the hell is that all about? Or we hear about the drugs and the alcohol and the neglect and the poverty and the ignorance. We hear about a school where kids can't wash their hands, a public school in Canada where a kid has to go to the bathroom in front of everybody watching him. In today's day and age, what the hell? So we got two choices. We can either say, oh, man, that's too much. I got to just worry about my thing. Or nothing can fix that. Or nothing ever gets better. Or how did it get so bad? Or we can say this, you know what? I got talent, I got ability. I might not have the talent that you have, I might not have the ability that you have, but I got some talent, I got some ability. I got a choice of what I do with my $86,000 every day, and I got a responsibility. So damn it, I'm going to do something. Can you imagine if just 1,000 people took that stance in Fort McMurray? How about this? How about if just 100 people took that stance? The concept is when I'm a catalyst for responsibility and I start to take action, there's other people on the sideline that say this, you know what? I'm in. In ancient days, really quickly, and then I'll let you go. In ancient days, it was called standing in the gap. So you had a castle, and the guys would try to come over the wall of the castle. And then all these guys would come over the wall, and we'd be like, shit, the guys are coming over the wall! Ah! Have you ever seen that movie? Ah! And then somebody would turn and do this. And they'd stand in the gap, the breach, because the wall had been broken. And so somebody would just stand in the gap. And then the other soldiers, ah! Oh, John stood in the gap. Come on! Woo! And the idea was, who will stand in the breach? Who will stand in the gap? Just somebody stand in the gap. Because they can't get over the damn wall. Somebody will just stand in the gap. We can defend this thing. But when we all panic and run the other way and say nothing can be done, we can't fix it, we're screwed. Somebody just stand in the gap. 3 moms stood in the gap, planted their flag in the sand and said, damn it, that's not good enough for our kids. Northland School Board, you better get somebody up here and fix it. And if you don't get somebody up here and fix it, we'll fix it ourselves. We'll go in there and put up a wall. We'll go in there and fix the water. We got the skill to do it. And if you tell us we can't, we're going to call somebody in the news and tell us our kids can't wash their hands. How many of you know that's going to get fixed in the next week? And you might have somebody in the plumbing industry that you know. You might have somebody in the construction industry you know. You might have somebody, and you might walk over to Ross tonight and say, you know what, Ross, that's bullshit in the country I live in. Give me the name and the phone number and we'll pay for it. And I'll fly up to Fort Chip with you, Ross, and I'll solve it. Come on, guys. We got to take ownership of this thing. This isn't an exercise where we just go through the motions. So I hope what you're leaving with is a little bit of fire in your belly that says, you know what, Ian's right. I've been tolerating some shit and I can't tolerate it no more, man. I'm going to get this thing fixed. And then just go do it. Just go do it. And then other people will see your craziness running towards the wall and standing in the gap, and they'll be like, look at that crazy idiot. Okay, come on, here we go. Let's go do it. It's late. I appreciate your time. I thank you for coming to this. I thank you for the energy you're putting in. Now take what you're learning and go make the world a better place to live. Have a great night. See you later.